What's up, guys? My name's Justin, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is my very first video. Today we're going to be doing a recap on my pound on. Today we're going to be doing a trade recap on the trades that I took on the pound Australian dollar and the pound New Zealand dollar. So we're going to be taking a look at why I took those trades, fundamentally and technically, how I managed the trades, if I added positions, where I got out, all that good stuff. Hope it helps. I'm gonna be trying to post once a week minimum. That's the goal for me right now, is once a week. I'm gonna try to post. If I get more in a week, if I get 2, 3, 4 videos in a week, that would be great. But right now, the first goal is once a week. So we'll see if I can stick to that. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to the charts here. So we're going to start off with the pound Australian dollar. Granted, these two trades were very similar, almost identical. The Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar usually move in the same way, and the technicals were somewhat similar, so I sort of lumped these two trades together in one recap, since they're essentially almost the same trade. So let's get into it. Starting off with the fundamentals for the pound. Honestly, everything's pointing to a weaker pound, as we've seen in GU, the pound dollar. It's fallen. However, it's somewhat neutral. The way it's behaving right now is somewhat neutral, because if you look at any cross where the pound is with a weak currency, it's appreciating. So you know that there's not too many sellers for the pound at the moment. That could change, but at the moment there's not too many sellers, right? And we saw that with some consolidation. It didn't want to break. We had boom, 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 retested. There just wasn't too many sellers for the pound, and there wasn't too many buyers for the Australian dollar. So the fundamentals for the Australian dollar, economy's fairly weak at the moment. They're dealing with the fires. They dealt with the floods. Now they're dealing with this virus, although it's not, the virus isn't really spreading through Australia or anything, but with trade, with the economy, it's affecting them big time, because China is a huge trading partner with the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, or for Australia and New Zealand. So it's going to affect their economy. It's going to affect their data, and possibly influence the RBA to cut, because recently they've been very optimistic, thinking everything's going to be great, which a lot of people have criticized, and we saw that they were a bit over optimistic. If you just looked at the unemployment data yesterday, of course, I didn't know that was going to come out at the time of this trade, but just a little rant here. We saw very weak employment numbers, so we could see further easing by the RBA. Just a little thing I want to put out there. But getting back to it, pretty weak economy, neutral pound, still dealing with the virus. All of that gave me reason to look for a long opportunity, and the technicals lined up as well, which really gave me the confidence to take this trade. But we're going to get into New Zealand fundamentals here, and then we'll get into all the technicals. So let's do that. So here for GN, we've seen a lot of weakness due to the virus. We did see the central bank for New Zealand held rates, and we saw a nice little spike up for the New Zealand dollar, because that's obviously perceived as good. It was expected. However, their tone was a little more wait and see, which gave less of a dovish bias, but not necessarily hawkish. So Anyways, we had that going on, but besides that, not really much influencing New Zealand dollar besides the coronavirus fears. China is a bigger trading partner, or I should say, a bigger percentage of trade with New Zealand than it is with Australia. So New Zealand's data and economy should get hit worse than Australia when we start seeing the effects really come out soon in a few weeks. We'll probably start for sure seeing it, and that will last probably at least a few months depending on how this virus goes. But yeah, and obviously the same thing for the pound is fairly neutral. Um, so that really gave me the confidence to take these trades. Let's get into the technicals now. So we'll start off with GN since we're already here. We start off with drawing some trend lines. We obviously had this trend line there, which didn't really help us in this trade, but we're just going to mark it off. It's pretty obvious. And nothing really further back necessarily influenced this trade anything further back than here, but we can draw this channel that we had here. We had a nice channel here. And we saw prices interacted with this top and bottom trend line multiple times, and we had a nice bounce 1, 2, 3 times. So I knew that this was valid, and it came back around this area, and we had the 50 moving average as well on the 4 hour. If we're looking on the 1 hour, we saw it had a little bit of a rejection, so there wasn't any more sellers, or at least not immediately. And on top of that, looking a little bit closer here on the 2 hour chart, we can draw this trend line here. So we had a little bit of a break retest as well going on. So that gave me the confidence to enter position somewhere in this area. So that's why I went long on the pound New Zealand dollar. So let's just map that out. My stop was like around here. Honestly, if it broke these lows, I probably would have got out because the fundamentals, something probably would have came out and things would have changed. Oh, my dog's paid me a visit. Hello, guys. So my target for this trade, I marked off a fib here, although it didn't help me for a entry. I did use it for the fib extensions as targets, which if you guys don't do, you should do. Otherwise, you're just sort of seeing as high as it goes, which is not really a good strategy. You should have a place where if it hits that point, you get out, or mostly get out. You can leave some running if you want, but you should have a place where it trades over for the most part. Otherwise, your winners are usually going to turn into losers because you're just going to wait, and it's going to hit your stop eventually, most likely, or get close to it. So, yeah, it was around. Let's just mark off this high. So this is my final take profit for GN, and we got pretty close there, but I'll get into that further. So this is the first position taken here. Moving over to GA. So GA, we had a nice uptrend. Just mark that off. We had a nice uptrend here. You see I marked this point and this point, and we're getting some interaction here on like a third, fourth touch. So that gave me nice confirmation. Let's just zoom out here. That gave me nice confirmation, and on top of that, on this little triangle here, it was making higher lows, right? There was not sellers pushing this thing down. As much as it tried, the buyers were there. Boom, boom, boom. So when it came back to this level, it was basically like a make or break it point. So if we broke down, it most likely would have fallen at least to here. So this was the point. If it was gonna go up, it would be here. And on top of that, let's look in the 1 hour charts. You can draw a counter trend line here. And I guess you could say it reacted for a third time here, fourth time, fifth time, broke, bounced once, came back and bounced twice. So we had a nice break retest as well. So this was a nice area of confluence. And honestly, that's about all that influenced this. I mean, I guess you could say we had a little bit of a level of support as well. So nice place to go long. Took an entry around here. I'm gonna mark that off. My stop was right below here. I knew if it broke down there, it would break down further. So this was basically the spot if anything was going to happen. And sort of the same thing for my target. Here on this extension, the 161 was my final TP. It did reach the first take profit area here, and I took off. Okay, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, this was one area. This was the final area of the trade. And I also had another zone here, which was this high. And as you can see, it interacted with that area. Didn't want to go higher for about a day until we finally broke past it. So yeah, that's why I got in these two trades. So moving on to the second position that I added on GA, although it would have been wiser to add a second position on GN because it was weaker and it was moving more in the direction of the trade. And if you ever get in a situation like that where you're trading GA or GN and one of them usually outperforms the other one, you should look to add positions to the one that's outperforming, because most likely it will continue to outperform unless of course some piece of information comes out and changes that. But yeah, so I drew a trend line from this little bottom point right up to there, and you see we had 1, 3 touches, kind of 4, broke down, and then was acting as resistance until we finally broke above, and then it came back down to it. So that is the reason technically I got into it. On top of the fact, it was also at a level of support resistance. So nice area of confluence. I took a third position. And honestly, there was a nice level of confluence in the same place on GN. I, for some reason, just added on GA instead of GN. However, GN would have been a better place. One, it was actually sitting directly on the 100 moving average. So there was that. And also, there was this trend line you could have drawn, which would have been pretty perfect. Connecting this bottom point, this low, and then it acted as resistance, and then it acted as support. So yeah, that would have been a nice place to add. So yeah, and then it pushed up overnight, and I took most of the position off there. I actually currently still have I took this sorry, I didn't take it on this, but I took most off. I have some running. It might go a bit higher. If not, it's fine. I don't have a whole lot, and my stop is, I believe, below this low here, or below this low. So we'll just see what happens with that. But that's what I did for GN. For GA, when it hit this first, or I guess I should say second TP, I didn't take any off when it hit the first TP. When it hit the second TP, I took, I believe, half, or maybe a little bit more than half off. I took some off of this, some off of this. I didn't close either of these positions. but I took some off of each one. I reduced the amount. Um, so I took some partials, and then as I saw it was coming down, I believe I closed this position here. And by the way, guys, my stop for this was, I believe, below like this 200 moving average. So, I mean, this was basically the area here. If it broke below down here, then I didn't really want to add to this trade because it most likely would have hit the stop of the first position. Anyways, guys, so that's what happened. And then as it came back down around here, I took off this position and then left some of this one running. And then, of course, I put a stop below. Sorry, whoops. I put a stop below here. It hit that, and I got knocked out of this position, which is fine because I took a lot off here. So yeah, that's the trade. I'm still in GN, as I said, but very little size, so it doesn't really matter. I hoped this helped, guys. A lot of you guys were asking why I took this trade. A good, I would say 60-70% of it was technical. One thing I wanted to mention, which I have mentioned a few times before, fundamentals are not everything. I know a lot of people think they are because they weren't trading with it before, and then afterwards it seemed really powerful, and it is, but the technicals are important too. There's a reason some people are purely technical traders. It works. However, it's you're a lot more efficient, and you sort of realize why things are happening when you look at the fundamentals, so you know whether to get involved or not. Because if you're just a technical trader, you don't know why things are happening. You're not sure if the future outlook is good or not for a certain currency. You're just guessing, essentially. But if you have a fundamental picture and a technical picture, you have a much clearer idea of where a currency could head. So here, we had a neutral pound. We had somewhat weak Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. Greed wasn't really there. However, fear wasn't really there, but greed wasn't really there as well. So and then technicals lined up. It just made sense why it would go up. The technicals sometimes lead the fundamentals, or sometimes the technicals just move the market if there's not a whole lot going on, which was sort of the case here. So don't be afraid if the technicals look good and there's not much going on fundamentally. Don't be afraid to take the trade. On my story, I posted a Euro NZD buy trade idea that worked out. A lot of guys were like, wondering about that. That one had sort of a similar situation. It was more of a technical trade, and sometimes that's okay. Don't be afraid to, you don't need to have some intricate fundamental idea just to take a trade. I sort of was like that, and then I realized sometimes there's not a whole lot going on, but the market still moves. So what do? You trade the technicals. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But hope you guys enjoyed first YouTube video. I'd really appreciate if you guys liked this, give it a thumbs up. Get it out to more traders. Hopefully I can help them as well. And it'd be great if you guys could hit that subscribe button as well. Stay up to date. As I said at the beginning of the video, I will be trying to post minimum once a week. That's the first goal. And then, obviously, if I hit that pretty easily, then I'll increase it. And maybe I'll get a schedule going. We'll see. But yeah, for sure, more content coming, more trade recaps, but also tips and tricks, videos explaining, like journaling, explaining more fundamental things, more technical things, psychology, just really everything that has to do with trading. So stay tuned for those. And I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys learned something from this. And I hope you guys know I really actually enjoy giving these trade recaps, because not only does it help me sort of summarize my thoughts, summarize really look at what I did right, what I did wrong. But it sort of helps you guys see what goes on before the trade happens. Because, a lot of traders on Instagram, oh, look at this trade, boom, I just made this many pips. Oh, look, this is where I got in. But that's sort of as far as it goes. They don't explain why, they don't explain what the technicals look like. They think it's kind of some sort of secret, which doesn't make any sense because you winning a trade doesn't mean they lose a trade. So um, they just want to seem like wizards, which is cool for them, but they're not. So just wanted to put that out there. So I really enjoyed doing these videos for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos, or if maybe there was something I missed or something you'd like to add. Let me know, and have a good day, guys.